Well, today I'm going to kind of follow up on a lesson I've taught on, I call the 5 E's, the teaching methods that you could use to teach character. Explain it, explore it, engage it, enhance it, experience it. Today I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about the idea of experience it. Having students kind of self-discover what it is that you're trying to teach them about a particular value or character trait. I'm going to have one about respect with you today. And I'm going to kind of share with you the idea of a dollar bill and this bag of pennies. And I would ask you, as well as if I was doing this with students, what are the differences between this and this? And you might respond, or kids would simply say things like, oh, it's size, it's shape, it's simply the sound that might be there in some other ways. It's color. It's what they're composed or made out of. Or a convenience. I could use this as in a vending machine, not this. Or perception in some ways. If I went to a McDonald's and paid off the dollar menu with my order, I paid with this, would be no question about it. But boy, if I paid with this, they sure would wonder a lot about me, right? And the difficulties that this would be to be able to count this on out. I would leave that store, they would have a whole impression about who I was in some ways that didn't justify necessarily at all. In addition to those differences, there are similarities between the dollar bill and the bag of pennies. Both have the number 1 on it. They have "In God We Trust." They both are U.S. currency, maybe not worth as much as they once were. They both can be used to buy stuff. They both have, as I said, symbols on them in some ways. They both have presidents. It's some similarities between the dollar bill and the bag of pennies. And I forgot to tell you, this bag of pennies really has 100 pennies in it and a dollar bill. Now, as you think about that, and maybe as I was going through this, you think, okay, there's differences and similarities. I bet you they're almost the same, the dollar bill and 100 pennies. And you're right. But when you stop to think about what's the teaching point about respect? Differences and similarities. One may seem more convenient in perception to be worth more. What does that have to say about respect? Let me just put it this way. Your kids that are in your class, in your school, they have differences, right? Some are tall, some are short, some single-parent families, some come from different ethnic backgrounds in some way. Some are first time in your school, some have been there for a while. Some are there because they have been expelled or kicked out of other schools. Some have just moved. Some wear glasses, some don't. Differences, but they have similarities. They're all fellow students. They're all in your class. They're all a part of your community in some ways. In spite of the differences, they have similarities. What does that have to say about respect? In spite of those differences and similarities, in my bag of pennies and a dollar bill, they have the same worth, the same value. Now, if we stop to think about that, if that's how we could present our kids in our class in their behaviors with their choices made, accepted the fact that in my class there are kids with differences, but we all have the same similarities. I'm going to treat everybody the same whether my friends or not. I'm going to value people because they're fellow human beings. Sure, eliminate things like harassment, bullying, prejudice, respect. Today I taught it through you, not just through, as I said, an explanation of it or what's the components of it or how to kind of connect with the academic curriculum. I used an experiential activity, hopefully from some self-discovery for you to think about how key values can be taught through activities. Now there's another variety of ways that this can be done where you can find those. One of my favorite books, obviously, is not only my own, I suppose, it's still in Touchstone. We have 95 activities, but Tom Jackson puts out books on activities to teach character, activities to be able to put it into practice. Consider those. Thanks so much. Hope you have a good day making sure that character truly does count.